So you can begin a sequence with so. So means a lot of things. Doing the whole Madonna hair under my armpit. So means a lot. So means you reap what you sow. So you begin. I'm watching How to Begin a Movie, and I've noticed in Adam the Woo that he will begin every sequence or every part of his uploads or his movies or his videos with an introduction, and then he'll say the vlog is over. It gets old. But he does it because he treats each separate upload as a separate little video or movie, as if the first one is the first one, the second one is the first one, the third one is the first one, as if he's doing it for the first time each time, which is good. Genius. Jordan the Line does the same, and many others. Breck Roll does it too. I don't, because my channel is Cole Spivey. Days with Jordan the Line is temporary. It's just a show on YouTube. It's titled as Days with Jordan the Lion. The Daily Woo is just a show. It's temporary. It'll come and it'll go. Just like any show, like Three's Company. It showed up and then it left. Gilligan's Island, it showed up and we all watched the Professor and Marianne and all that stuff, and it went on. My show is actually within my channel. It's an ongoing thing. I don't always say, welcome to the Please Subscribe show, or the vlog is over. But sometimes I do, because I'm in a season in my life. Their shows, I'm doing the dishes right now, so I'm going through doing the dishes. Their shows will come and go, so their shows are temporary. But Cole Spivey and my channel will live forever. I started off in poetry. There was a site. I think I went by Cole Spivey. I'm pretty sure I did. And there was a site. I'm going to use this in just a minute. Called poetry.com. My aunt, Suzette, told me all about it. Let's see if the birds are there. I think they might be. They may have flown the coop. She said, Cole, go out there and write some poetry. And go to poetry.com. And write a poem. And they're going to send you mail. They'll publish your poem. I was in my 20s in college. I write all this poetry. She was in her kitchen making lunch, probably for my grandfather, who was alive at the time. My grandfather has passed away. He was a World War II hero. And I thought, wow. Go from one noise to another. It's like these things. Wow. I was trying to go here to be quiet. They're working outside. I think I'll do that. I think I'll write a poem and I'll send it to poetry.com. This is in the 90s, Generation X, you know. I think I was going to Texas Wesleyan at the time. So I went online. I never would go online. I didn't have a computer until I graduated. I got my first computer in 2000, in the year of 2000. The year of 2000. And I thought to myself, this is a great, I'm going from one noise to another noise. One part of that, I'm trying to find it. This is a great idea. I'm gonna write a poem for poetry.com. Later on, I ended up writing a screenplay about all this called Pen. It's my favorite screenplay of all. I would love to do that screenplay. Another noise. Another noise right here. And I thought to myself, I'm gonna write a poem for poetry.com. And I thought, this is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So I thought to myself, okay, we will do that. I will write a poem for poetry.com. This would be great. Organizing my closet. So you can see, that's my filmmaker hat right here. And so I did. Lo and behold, I got mail, and I mean physical mail. Not Tom Hanks' email, but I got real mail. And it said, Cole Spivey at poetry.com, we appreciate you. Blah, 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 blah. We published your poem, and I cheered. I had done it. I had become a published author and a poet. And I thought to myself, I have succeeded. There's no reason for me to go on. I have accomplished all my dreams. This is so amazing. I was pretty much in tears. Let me get to this in just a minute. I was very much in tears. So, I wrote another poem. And I went around the nation writing poetry. This is a true story. And sending it through different mailboxes throughout the United States of America. In New York, Long Beach, Hollywood. And I would send these poems to poetry.com as I traveled out into the world to do my business. I was Cole Spivey, the poet. And I would go to all these different places across the United States of America and publish my poetry. And they would always send me a letter saying, Cole, we appreciate you. And we published yet again another poem of yours. We want you to buy a book of poetry, of your poetry. And we're going to send you an anthology of your own poetry that's published on our site. And all we want is $20. I never had that $20 to give to them. I never had it. So, I continued to write the poetry anyway. Because I thought to myself, well, they said that it was published. At least I can store my poetry here for a while. Let's drop something right here. And maybe it'd be a good place to store all my poems. And that one poem turned into 100 poems, and that 100 poems turned into 300 or 400 or 500 poems. A lot of poems. There were a lot. They were all on poetry.com. So when I talked to friends, I would say, go to poetry.com and read this poem under Cole Spivey. And you'll find my poetry there. I remember I had this one poem. It was about like a pack of Camel cigarettes. And it started off as a 1 cent note, because on the pack of Camel cigarettes, it would say 1 cent note. And I did not understand what 1 cent note was. And I had to put it in a poem, and I put it there, and I published it. I was like, great. The 1 cent note poem. I think I sent that one through when I was like in Manhattan, right before 9/11, when I was acting in New York. I am one of those actors that's also a published poet. I was so proud of that. Even when James Lipton, I met James Lipton, he was actually a poet too. His father was a well-known poet, had written books about poetry and all this stuff. He was very intelligent, spoke like 6 languages. I never told him about my poetry, but it was there all along. I don't even think I used an alias or a pseudonym or whatever. And I thought to myself, wow, No matter what, whatever goes down, if I get an Oscar or whatever ends up happening, it won't matter. I've always got poetry.com. I have them. I think I'm gonna go with the green shirt. I usually do the green shirt. I've kind of made it kind of my work shirt. I was like, I have poetry.com. They are mine. So, I was very, very happy. Hundreds, 200, 300 poems. Worked on them, started studying other poets. Studied Jim Morrison, Billy Corgan. I was a big fan of Billy Corgan's poetry. Looked at all different Yeats, Keats, Oscar Wilde, Shakespeare, sonnets. I'm going to be the greatest poet. So I continued. Even when I went to the actor studio and I studied with all the greats, even Johnny Depp and all those great people, James Lipton and Eli Wallach, Mr. Freeze, and Ellen Bernstein and all those people, I thought to myself, well, if I don't get that big Broadway play, I'll at least have my poetry. I was so happy to have my poetry. One day I thought to myself, when I really make it, or I get a commercial, like a Pepsi commercial, or I get a lot of money, I'm going to buy that anthology of poetry. Those 200 poems will sit on my shelf right next to Keats, right next to Yeats, right next to William Shakespeare. Right here on this shelf would be my poetry. I was so happy. I waited and I waited. I got landed some extra work. They gave me like $170 to help out Jim Carrey. Got like $70 to help out Dustin Hoffman. He was a little cheaper, but he's quicker. And Jake Gyllenhaal got to do the thing on Moonlight Mile. And I looked from a distance and I thought to myself, wow, those are real artists. Dustin Hoffman, Jake Gyllenhaal, Jim Carrey, doing all, I thought to myself, wow, I am just a mealy extra. But I do have that poetry on poetry.com. One day, after the turn of the century, going into the new millennium of the 2000s, I went to poetry.com. It's my ice maker. And it wasn't there. Where did poetry.com go? On the site, it said that they were under new management, and none of my poems were there. And I never bought that book. Just $20 was all I needed. I'll leave my PayPal here too. We didn't have a PayPal back then. We didn't have phones. I thought to myself, my God, am I still a poet? Where did it go? If I wrote it on paper, if I had a single piece of paper and I wrote it on journals or something, maybe I could go back and I could access this. But I didn't write them all down. I wrote some of them down. I still have one of them. Let's see if I can find it. We'll get to this in a minute. It's amazing. It was all gone. All my poetry, because they changed management. And someone called a Lulu.com took them over temporarily. And a few of the poems were there, but there were hundreds upon hundreds of poems. Gap comic. Art Crumb, great artist. One of the great artists of all time. This is very valuable to me. I love Art Crumb. I played Funt in Art Crumb 3 on stage. It was Funt. These are some of my screenplays. This is one of my this is actually a play. I gave it to Gracie Toon. I believe the sister of Tommy Toon on Broadway in Fort Worth at an Avenue Theater, at the Avenue Theater in Fort Worth. Fifth Avenue Theater, something like that. She said, you have to get this published. This is a great play, Cole. This is a great play. I said, thank you, Mrs. Toon. It's Tommy Toon's sister. She's a dancer. I'm going to find it. Just give me a second. This is my first play that I wrote in high school. Very first one. A walk through the park, and I misspelled through. Cheerleader came up to me. She said, you misspelled through. I looked at it. I said, you're absolutely right. But I saved some ink, though. Because through, it's more words. This guy's great, too. I got this Rolling Stone. I don't know. I might find it. This is actually a really good story that I wrote right here. Called The Sickness Will Not End in Death. And it's one of my favorite stories I wrote in high school. I still have the original journal. It's precious to me. It's worth so much to me. And we did vignettes and stuff. That one got published in the vignette, but it was too long, so they had to bypass it. I have another story. One of my professors got mad at me because we were supposed to write stories with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we only had to write 5 pages. I wrote like 15 or 18 pages of single space really quick. And they said, Cole, he writes so much. And it had a beginning and a middle, and then it just cut off. Well, this Jewish guy named Josh, I just know his name was Josh Grun. His last name was Grun. He went to the professor. He said, Cole did not write a resolution. He did not have a right to do that. He didn't finish. He was real mad at me. So the teacher pulled me aside and said, you must have an ending. I said, I know it just cuts off. I'm going to write a novel about it later. He said, no, you must have an ending. And he failed me. Not the whole class, though. I passed with a C average that time around. I did make some A's there. I did do well. I was published in that class. It was a tough class. And this is the same school that Taylor Sheridan went to that won an Oscar for screenwriting. It was Pascal High School. He said, you have to have an ending. I said, no, I don't. I don't have to have an ending. There are many great Russian writers that don't have endings. He got mad at me. He said, there's not a snowball chance in hell that I'm going to pass this. And he threw it down. And he was a writer, too. He got really mad at me. I said, I'm not going to finish it. No, it's not meant to be finished. I never went back and wrote it into a novel. I did write other novels, though. It was about my sister and I playing in the woods. It just ended. That's how the memory is, kind of. This is great, too. Some of that's a Spoon anthology. Some of it is actually Punch and Judy, too. I have some Punch and Judy material from the old English puppet show. This is some stuff here, too. Here. Oh, right. High Heel. This is a play I wrote in college about the feminine movement. I was going to see if I could find the poetry.com thing to show you what it looked like. That's what I was digging in here for. It's in one of these folders because I kept... Yes. Thank you, God. International Poet Society. And this is what it looked like. Here's what it looked like right here. Poetry.com. And it was gone. The whole site crashed. They lost everything. Lulu.com bottom. They try to hang on and now it's gone. Always keep a copy of your poem in hard script. Write it down. It's right here. This is a rush delivery. See if it has a return address. Sorry about that. Sorry. I dropped you, but then I kissed you. I dropped you, but then I kissed you. said Cole. All right, so we're gonna try to improv. I always do improv. So we're going to use the bird. And here we go. Probably one of my poems, yes. This is one of my poems. It was rush delivered to me at the Riverview Hotel when Spike Lee was shooting The 25th Hour. This was Poetry Corner, which is, I'm going to call this post, Poet's Corner. It has all these magazine stuff and everything. You could belong to them. And this was their actual letterhead of poetry.com. Oh no, this is International Society of Poets. They may still be around. This is something separate. I was trying to get involved with them. The poetry.com stuff, they would send back a published copy of your poem. And I'm going to show you what it looks like. Right here. So I was in the Riverview Hotel, and this is what I ended up writing. So I'm going to do my very best to read it. Riverview Hotel 113. Small, bright bulb. Hovering like a sick idea. Black men grunting, hunting for bad will. And no one knows their names. Corridors, corridors, corridors. Bleeding and snorting. Humping and stuffing. Tiny little men. Meant for pigeons, not meant at all. Non-green, non-go, non. And get out! Forever remembered, understanding, anxiety, or doubt. BXB DJ LK LDT C-004. No more than ever. Worrying sick in time. What scientists have learned to cope with the no God blues. Save us, might one, from doubt and use. I said that you may use this poem as is, and that's my signature. So I don't remember where I wrote it, but it was New York. Take my bifocals and turn them into readers. I just know that it was New York, and I wrote it. But I did not send that one to poetry.com. I sent it to you.